Well, I'm pleased to say I have Jeremy Coney, Bumble, and myself are going to talk about Stokes. Coney's tried to get out of it. Now he's cleaning things and doing all sorts of things. But it's an interesting question, Bumble, where Stokes is in his career at the moment. He's obviously in a slight form funk with his batting. I think his bowling is good as I've seen him bowl in a very long time. He's completely in control of the ball. But what's the present of Ben Stokes and what's the future of Ben Stokes, I suppose, is the idea of this conversation at the moment. How do you see his batting form right now?
Well, he's shorter runs in at number 6, and captaincy I don't think he's taking at all. He seems to enjoy captaincy. It's bowling, as you say. I think that is terrific for England, that he's bowling at high 80s and he's steaming in, and that will be good for England going forward. You would want him to, with his form, to be a little bit more dominant with the bat at number 6. You need a number 6 who can sort of give a glue to the team, and that's not happening just at the minute. But I wouldn't bat against him. I wouldn't bet against him getting a big score along the way in this series.
Jeremy, he's faced 190 professional cricket deliveries this year in games. Generally, even in a bad year, he'll face well over 1,000. He's obviously shed a lot of size. He's now got like a Jeremy Coney physique after, being a lot more, bigger and muscular before, more of a Steve Harmison before.
I think he's bigger than me. I've got to say that.
He's a little bigger
powerful
than you. But he spent a lot of time changing his body. But it does feel to me that, I don't want to say he's neglected his batting, but he doesn't look like he's smooth at the batting crease at the moment. It looks like it's a little bit choppy for him.
Yeah, he hasn't had long innings, has he? I mean, he's tried to. I've got the feeling that he goes out each time and he wants to get himself in, as he often has in the past and carried on, and that's when we notice all the power that he contains. But he's been got out, hasn't he? And whether there's not enough batting that's going on. I don't know whether does he play much county cricket nowadays? I mean, you get to this 19th county, don't you, quite often, and you take players away from the county championship. It's like the bowlers almost from England as well in this match. Some of them really haven't had much bowling. Overton, Atkinson, all those bowlers who might have replaced players today, they've hardly played since May. And so there are issues, I think, that come with being in this little pocket that is away from the county championship. I don't know what you guys think of that, but it seems to me...
I'm old school. I'm very, very old school. I do not understand, because a cricket career is quite short. If you're a cricketer, play cricket. And as a batter particularly, the stamina that's required at the crease, the mental processes... A batter, I think, has got to play every game possible. And I'll take you back to one of yesteryear that everybody will know the name. Geoffrey Boycott would go anywhere for batting, either in the nets. If it was a day off, he'd bat for hours. If it was a testimonial game, he would go and bat and then move on to another game and bat again. So it's the modern way, as Jeremy says, that they're in a little bubble, they're in a little pocket, and it's cricketers who don't play cricket. Now, we're spotlighting on Ben Stokes. You just said 190 deliveries all summer.
All year.
All year. You've got to have a batting rhythm. You've got, when you're out there, it's an unfair game, is cricket, because a batter gets one chance. A bowler in a 6-over spell gets 36 chances to get you out, so you don't make a mistake, and it's grooved in. And you've got to play, in my opinion, every game possible if you're a batter.
I mean, that's what it looks like to me, that he's someone who hasn't batted all that much of recent times, maybe because he has been changing his physique for bowling. What about his spin play, Bumble? You're a left-hander. He's never been a great player of spin bowling in Test cricket. He handles it fine in ODI cricket, but in Test cricket he's always struggled. He seems to have got a lot worse against the spinning ball within the last two and a half years.
Well, that just bears out that you've got to have time at the crease, and you've got to be able to work it out as to a ball that, if it's a spinner bowling and the pitch isn't spinning, it's a totally different game than if you're on a pitch that is spinning out of footholds and the left-hander has to deal with all that sort of thing. But I can't get away from, and when I was England coach, it was just coming in. If you recall, in the late 90s, it was just coming in. Are we going to have central contracts or not? And then we would go to a county and ask nicely, is it okay if Angus Fraser has a game off so that he's ready for the next test match? Then suddenly batters are coming to us and saying, any chance I can have a game off? Well, no, not really. Batters need to bat. Got to be out there in the middle.
So it's tough for all-rounders is the point there, isn't it? Which you can do, you can get away with one of the skills but not the other. I think as far as spin is concerned, he plays back. And he was, if you think of the last dismissal
Yeah,
to
really
Sundar,
trapped.
he was back and then moved forward too late. So he's back first, looking to play off the back foot, and then looking to come forward. I was always, not that that's the correct way, but generally you want to get forward until they push you back and you see the length. But at the moment, I think that's costing him with spin, particularly, and particularly when it's out of the rough. It's not easy if you're looking to come forward and then you've got to lift your hands and get them out of the way. I've seen batsmen actually throw the bat away so that they don't get caught in close off a glove or something like that.
We're not doing Dermot Reeve talk again, are we?
But that's I think the problem with spin that he has.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he at the end of that test match, he said, the pitch out there was subcontinental. And it's like, well, India's taken 18 wickets with seam bowling. Like, I can understand it may not have had as much grass or as pace as you wanted.
Pace, I think he was talking.
Yeah.
I think it was pace. He's on about pace. There's a lack of pace. This is a slow, low, turgid pitch, and that's what he was referring to. Not that it's a spinning pitch and you can't play on it.
But interestingly, if you look at him, when he came out, it was spinning, right? It was coming out of the foot marks, and he wasn't handling it particularly well. And it seems like his only defense at the moment, to me, is the reverse sweep. He's not a brilliant player of the reverse sweep either.
It's a high-risk shot, is a reverse sweep. And I'm with Jeremy, that the first thing that you were taught as a young kid, spin forward, make him bowl short. Make him bowl short. And so that means you can come down the pitch, you've got to cover the ball. When you come down the pitch, you've got to cover the ball, that if you miss it, it hits you. Don't come down on the wrong side of the ball. Now that just is telling the ball that you've got to just adjust your length, which is what you want him to do. And then as a left-handed batter, your cut comes into play. If he adjusts his length, you're always looking at as a left-handed batter, I'll get a cutaway when he drops his length short, and I'm going to try and make him drop his length short by coming down the pitch. He might think, well, he's coming down the pitch, I've got to bowl it a little bit shorter. That's what I'm looking for. So you've got to be nimble on your feet. The one thing that, in my opinion, that you don't do, the first movement back, because he wants you to go back. That bowler wants you to go back.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, before the reverse sweep became big, he used to, especially with spin, play a lot of slog sweeps, right? So he'd get the field out, he'd put some pressure back on the bowler. At the moment, I was watching him against Washington, and India were bringing the field up because they were thinking he doesn't have an outlet here other than the very risky one. So the processes against spin are not great. And that wicket was spinning when he came in. He was being hunted a little bit.
It was difficult when Jadeja decided, I'm going to go wide, and I'm going to get some unpredictable bounce out of that area where players had been in their follow through, the second step usually, isn't it? And he's getting some bounce and unpredictable bounce. The worry is, you get a low one, isn't it? And that's why you've got to be forward in that sort of circumstance. And then if it bounces, that's when you've got to take it either on the body and so on, getting the hands out of the way. And hence, I mentioned sometimes you actually throw the bat. But his stats, what is it, 35 he's averaging? As a batsman, I'm guessing.
It was about 37, wasn't it? So it might have dipped to about 35.
Yeah. So is that enough for a number 6? Now, he's a remarkable, I think, and a talismanic kind of all-rounder. I think that's how we would think him. Is Imran Khan? Now, is he the kind of equivalent? Is he a better batsman or a bowler? You don't often get someone who's equal at both.
Yeah.
And if we go back to that period, that Bumble will know really well, of the 4 main all-rounders, and Hadley was there at that time, more of a bowling all-rounder. Whereas, what was Imran? Was he that was quite a tricky one to decide, a batting or a bowling or equal.
Mike Proctor?
Yes, absolutely. Could do both. And so where does it all fit? Is he good enough batting at the moment, the way he's batting at the moment, to bat at 5 or 6?
And
well, hang on, what do you think?
Well, I mean, right at the moment, if he wasn't bowling, would he be still on the side if he was averaging 35 down the order?
Now then, I've just asked the question behind Ian Botham. What did he average with the bat? Where did he bat? Number 6.
He would have batted number 6. And
what did he average?
He averaged about 36, 37?
Nope.
Was it 34?
Nope.
33?
Less.
29?
33.
33. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, I mean, he's out there as England's greatest ever cricketer. Not batter, bowler, cricketer.
But wouldn't
Average 33.
you say, though, that Botham was a frontline bowler?
Yes.
So-
Swinger.
Is Stokes a frontline bowler or is he a
Well,
fifth
he
bowler?
became, he started a frontline bowler, definitely.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely sharp, swung it late, but then stardom came and he became more of a batsman who bowls.
Now then, Jeremy, we're not broadcasting in England, so
No.
I am very safe here. Ben Stokes is a quicker bowler than Ian Botham.
Yeah.
Clip this for
that's true, isn't
socials,
it?
everyone. Clip this for socials.
Yeah, is that right?
I think he's a lot quicker. Yes. I don't know if
a
he's
lot quicker. Beefy could slip himself. He could when he was in his pomp and in his prime. Ian
he was
Botham
sharp.
get it through.
young Beefy.
Young Beefy
Yeah,
could
yeah.
get it through, no messing. But he wasn't as quick as Ben Stokes.
No.
Is
You
he
tell him. I'm not
is he
telling him.
capable? Is he capable of being in a 4-man attack?
So that's my point, whereas I think Botham was good enough to be in a 4-man attack.
Well, Stokes is. Look at Stokes. He's absolutely steaming in now. 87, 88 miles an hour.
I've got no problem with his pace, and I've got no problem with his skill set. Is he accurate enough?
Or can he bowl enough?
Yeah, and can he bowl enough?
Don't say Beefy was accurate. He wasn't accurate.
He
He'd get
wasn't
him down
accurate.
the
He
leg
was,
side, he'd get him hooking, he'd get him cutting.
Yeah, third man, deep third man.
We're not broadcasting this to England, or you'd be on my case.
so I would say that Beefy still controlled the ball more than Stokes does.
I'd debate that.
Okay.
I would debate that. I played
okay,
against him. I played against him and I played with him.
Here's my question. You've got 3 bowlers,
Yes.
and you can only pick one of them to be your 4th bowler for the next 5 years. Who's your 4th bowler, Botham or Stokes?
Botham.
Well, there we go. So we've already answered that then. So it's okay then for Stokes to average more with the bat because he's more of a batting all-rounder than Botham. Is that fair as well? You'd say I would say Stokes is a slightly better bat than Botham.
No, I'd strongly disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Botham was very correct, explosive.
Technically correct.
Yeah,
he's certainly more technically correct. I'll give you that.
And he had a different lifestyle at Beefy. He just devil may care. Let's have a game of cricket. Yeah, let's go and enjoy ourselves. Let's go into pantomime. Let's do a bit of fishing. I need a game of golf. Oh, there's a bit of cricket as well. So it's a different animal completely. But he was charismatic. You know, he carried an attack. He carried a team. Outrageous fella. Outrageous. I think Ben's more reserved than that.
Do you? I see him as quite charismatic as well
Oh, he
amongst
is.
this group here.
I agree.
Who do you
I
think's the
think
better bat?
players,
You would have said.
as a batsman, I would say he plays as Botham did. Very impressive, important, match-winning innings.
True.
Both players were capable of doing that. If we think, you can think straight away of down here in the ODI for Ben Stokes, getting 80-odd when England was struggling in the final of the 2019 World Cup. Played some great strokes, had a little bit of good fortune with diving at the far end and getting those little extra runs and so on. Yeah, but it's true. Nevertheless, and getting England up to a tie. And they relied on him, and then playing an even better innings up at Headingley shortly after, wasn't it, with Leach right at the end?
Exactly, and so that's seizing the moment and playing that important innings. Chatted with Stuart Broad this morning about Ben Stokes, and Stuart was saying that whenever he comes back into the changing room, the toss has gone up, it's absolutely convinced that's right. And he just said, right, come on boys, here we go, this is great, everything's great. And Stuart was saying that Ben says everything's great all the time. And I just said to him, that's Beefy. I've worked with Beefy, and so have you. Worked with Beefy forever. Everything's great. There's nothing negative about the day or the weather. Everything's great. And that unbelievable belief in everything's great and everything that he does is right. Beefy, everything that Beefy does is right. there is no. He doesn't know the word no.
Yeah, and I think that carries on to the next component that Stokes brings, and that's as a captain. I think he's a very good captain. I think he's probably great to play with and alongside because of just what you've just said things. He believes in his bowlers. He's very proactive with his bowlers.
Yeah.
Backs people.
He helps them all the time. He's changing and tinkering with things all the time, but the bowler's happy. You can see that. He's clapping and he's applauding them for the effort that they're making, even though it went for 4 and
That's
all,
it, that's
you
it.
know, and so
Everything's great.
absolutely. And so
Did you see Mohammed Kaif this week on social media? What's this about Ben Stokes as a captain? I don't see it. I don't see it. He gets everything wrong, makes all the wrong decisions, puts the wrong bowlers on at the wrong time. What's all this about Ben Stokes? That's Mohammed Kaif.
well, I don't know. Mohammed and I are seeing different people, it seems to me.
There is an element. It'd be really interesting to talk to some of the bowlers because it's hard because this has become a lifestyle choice, baseball, right? So, believing in Ben Stokes and believing in everything. It would be interesting to talk to some of the bowlers because I was watching him in the last test. The amount of times he changes the field and the bowler doesn't know because the bowler's on his way back. And I just think sometimes he follows the ball a little bit too much and he makes changes sometimes just because he has a lack of patience. But also, he never lets the game get away from him because of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And the other thing, chatting with Stuart Broad this morning, I said, when he wins the toss and we'll have a ball, I said, has he had a word with you lads before, the bowlers? When I was captain, I did it for a few years, and I'm looking at a pitch, and I would get me 2 bowlers, or 2-3 bowlers, Shuttleworth, Lever, Lee, and said, do you want to have a ball here? And if they said no, I'd just leave it. I said, does he? He said, no, he doesn't talk to any of us. He just said, right, that's it, it's all great. We're going to have a bowl.
You do wonder, don't you, how the bowlers feel about
How
the
did you go?
approaches.
How
The
did you
approach.
go?
No, I'd speak to the bowlers. Of course, I would.
Which is there any particular
Mainly,
bowler
yes,
who
of
might have had
course.
an opinion?
Of course. I mean, in New Zealand, of course, the situations were such and the conditions were such that was our best chance of winning the match. To use Richard, particularly on seaming pitches, so accurate. We knew he was going to get wickets. That's why he's got those 36 lots of 5 that we were talking about at the back there.
So if you
Bumble.
went to him and you said we want to bowl first, and he went, I think you're wrong, would you change your mind, or would you still back yourself as a captain?
I often felt that was our best chance in New Zealand, unless it was really brown. We wouldn't do that.
Would he get grumpy?
Maybe Auckland.
Would he get grumpy if you sent him in on a wicket that didn't end up helping him?
He might have been a bit. He didn't really show it too much.
Yeah.
But I just feel that I just wonder whether the bowlers bowling on these surfaces that don't deteriorate. That's it. Normally a pitch, there's entropy. There's something where the pitch is slowly over 5 days, as we saw a little bit more in the Edgbaston test than we did at Headingley, which didn't deteriorate at all. You'd expect a pitch to deteriorate. They're not deteriorating much in England at the moment.
No, they're not.
And I'm not quite so sure why. Whether that's the drainage that's gone on and it's affected the block or the pitch and the what do you call it here, the square as well. Even though it's not a square, it's a rectangle. And it's changed the nature of the games, and that's why they're starting to chase at the end. How do bowlers feel? How does Bashir feel about bowling first every time on a dry surface that's not offering him anything at all? And the Indians, I very much feel, have a set. I'm going to just nurdle you around and milk you. Those are the words that people use. I'm going to milk this guy for 3 or 4 and over. And I can see now in my mind Shubman Gill coming forward before Bashir has bowled, and he's just quietly played it into the onside.
So I think it's quite interesting. You were talking about this with Bashir as well. And at the moment, I would say most of the English cricketers, so we know that Broad and Anderson loved what Stokes was doing, right? Anderson has talked about it a lot. Most enjoyable cricket they've ever played. But they were in that kind of bubble. And you talked about Beefy. I mean, there's the great story with Foxy Fowler when he goes to the pub with Beefy, and Beefy puts him in a headlock for 2 hours, and that's how they become friends. There's a cult of personality with people like that, isn't there? And you end up falling into that But if Shoaib Bashir, if the other side of his brain starts to work, he'll be going, this isn't helping me at all.
I've had that same headlock. I've had that same one.
We've all had that headlock.
Yeah, we have. He's boisterous, beefy, and I talk about charismatic. He's charismatic off the field. You know, Ben's had his moments, of course. We know about that, but I think he's quite a caring bloke because you see him around the team, and certainly with Bashir, a 21-year-old spinner, we're having a ball first, and by the way, there's nothing in this for you. There's nothing, and so you'd think that. The right way to do it, or the logical way, is on a bright sunny day on a dry pitch, rack 'em up, get yourself in, get 500 on the board, 450. Now then, young off spinner, you've got plenty to bowl at there, and if you're bowling last on this pitch, if there is deterioration, give me an Indian pitch any day. Now, give me a pitch in India. It's interesting. It starts with spin, and it'll continue to spin. So you have an examination as a batter. Can you play spin? Because that's how it is. I like an interesting pitch. Atherton would always say, as an opening batter, captain of England, I want an even contest between bat and ball. And your test matches at 300 plays, 280 plays.
Good games.
Great games. They are great games.
They're the best games to play in. And New Zealand quite often did that because it was easier to get wickets than it was to get runs.
And of course, in New Zealand now,
260 plays 240.
All
you know those.
So how do dropping pitches?
We don't like those.
Absolutely, we don't like them. No.
I think dropping wickets and the new drainage has changed a lot of wickets around the world, hasn't it? And not all dropping wickets are bad. You guys would have played on the MCG pitch. It was not a drop-in pitch for years and was absolutely horrendous. They put a drop-in pitch there for a little while. It worked. Then it went horrible as well. Just to get back to Ben Stokes, though, what do we think the future is, Jeremy? He's slimmed himself down. He's a different athlete than before. We're calling this the Coney model. He clearly is trying to take pressure off his knees so he can bowl. I'm assuming he's had some sort of knee operation that is maybe he put synthetic cartilages in or something along those lines. So he wants to play for a lot longer. He's never been a great T20 player, and he's never shown as much interest in T20 as some other players have. No,
he's decided to give ODIs away, then he came back, didn't he, and reversed the resignation. But T20, he's had the sort of the Brathwaite kind of circumstance. He's had ups and downs, hasn't he? Which is what you were talking about as well, I think, Bumble, a moment ago. But look, future, I see him more I think he's a great bowler. I really think he always looks dangerous. He always has the knack. He's one of those chaps who takes a wicket when your team needs one. He's infectious, I find, and I would find him fun to play around, I think.
Well, I know him pretty well, and he's great fun. He's a great lad. He's a smashing lad, do anything for you, very generous. And so what's the future for him? I think he has committed to Test match cricket, which is admirable. It's lovely. But again, to commit to Test match cricket, and I keep hearing and reading that Test cricket's in crisis. In the UK, the grounds are full. Everywhere you go, 25,000, 20,000 for 4 days. If we get the weather, we get good Test match cricket. What I'd like to see is a more interesting pitch.
Yeah, no, the pitches have not been. Which is one of the things, to be fair to Bazball, is it's made the cricket interesting anyway. Like when you're watching India go 600 in front, there's an element of they're doing this because they're petrified that England's going to do something remarkable. So there is an element of that. How many more years can he continue to play the way he is, though, Bumble? And if he's going to average, let's say his batting drops off, which is very possible as you get older, sometimes your batting drops off, and he ends up averaging around what Beefy is, does he have to up his bowling load then to be more useful to England, or does it not matter because of the captaincy?
Well, his bowling has definitely helped England from what we've seen in this series because he's fit.
I'd say he's been their best bowler in this series.
He has been the best bowler, so his component of batting needs to improve, and I'm sure that he'll be working on that. How old is he? 35? 34?
That sounds good.
Around about 34, 35, so, you know, he's obviously ambitious to play more Test match cricket. We could talk about Jimmy Anderson, who I see quite often. An absolute freak.
How does he bowl these days?
He's bowling absolutely brilliantly. No difference at all. Started playing T20 cricket and getting wickets in that. And we interviewed him. I was involved in interviewing him, and he got really uppity. the other day on interview for some nice people, some generous people, and he said, will you stop mentioning my age? I am not interested in how old I am. My body's absolutely fine. I love playing cricket. I'll let you know, he said, when I don't enjoy it, because that's when I'm stopping. When I don't enjoy it, he said, I love playing cricket.
Did you have a period as a batter when you got older where things didn't move as quickly, or did you notice that you got old and you couldn't do things when you were younger? You were talking about using your feet before. You slow down. We quite often with great batters, you can actually see that they decline against spin before they decline against pace. Because against pace, you're just reacting, whereas against spin, you need to move into position quicker. Did you notice that?
Don't forget, I was quite a modest player. I knew when I was done. And I sort of survived for a couple of years knowing that I was done. An injury didn't help, neck injury, which I've still got. But I knew in my heart and my mind, and I started getting a bit crotchety as well, which was not my style. I was quite happy when I played cricket, I thought. And I woke up one morning and I just went straight to the chairman. I said, I've finished. I don't play anymore.
Middle of the season?
Middle of the season, and by jingo, they played me for the last part of the season, and I've never played better. I played wonderfully well. I thought, have I done the right? Yes, I have. I wanted to do other things. I wanted to get away and do all sorts of other things. Because my eyes had gone, I had to wear glasses, so I took up umpiring. I thought that's the way to go.
So your eyes had gone, and you decided to make decisions for professional cricketers.
Yes.
Yeah, but he had very powerful glasses, didn't you, Bumble?
Very focals.
Yeah. No, I just think that age thing is a very personal. It happens differently.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the deterioration of perhaps some of the things that you were able to do 2 years ago, but you can't do them now.
What did you notice towards the end? What were the sort of things that you realised that, I used to get inside the line to these short balls?
Reaction.
It was reaction, was
Reactions, yeah. And I tried then to play a lot of squash and games that demanded, quick reactions to try and keep that for as long as I could. But no, it wasn't. And some players do it slowly, don't they? It doesn't appear quite so fast for them that they're losing the things that they couldn't do. But some of them, it happens just like that, and suddenly 3 weeks away, you can't do it.
Tell me, you're Australian, tell me about, on an age thing, Khawaja.
Yeah, well, what's he, late 30s now, isn't he?
38.
38.
Yeah. And he's had a weird career because he goes through periods where he makes lots of runs, and then he goes through periods where he makes no runs, and that's always been his pattern. But he's not, to me, watching him in the West Indies, it doesn't look like he's picking the ball up anymore.
So let's talk about Ricky Ponting, one of the all-time greats. You talked to Ricky, he knew when it was time. And going back to Jeremy, reaction. You know what you're supposed to be doing, and you're a split second late.
Yeah.
Ricky Ponting.
Well, Ricky Ponting in his book admits that he probably played on 2 or 3 years too long as well, didn't he? And so there's something really interesting that Kumar Sangakkara's father talks about, which is he wanted Kumar to be someone who could make runs over the age of 35 because he saw players who could make runs over the age of 35 as the great technicians. You look at, maybe Hussey and Gooch and Misbah and these sorts of players, and he wanted Kumar to be that kind of player, and he did go on to be that. If you look at someone like Ben Stokes, everything we've said about his batting, no one's ever said he's a great technician. So if the athleticism goes or the eye goes or anything like that, we should see it quicker with someone who has a bat path that doesn't always come down straight and not a perfect technique. Is that fair?
Well, maybe. Look, I don't think you can't be definitive about any of these things.
You can, Jeremy, be definitive for social. This is what social media does.
I'm not interested in that. You know that. I don't do those things. So, look, I think as far as Stokes is concerned, what's going to go first then? Do you think his bowling will keep him there longer?
Yeah.
Or do you think his batting should?
I think he's decided he wants to bowl more. I think if his batting does dip down, he can bowl more overs to make that up. He could still bat at 6 or 7. He's not a bad number 7.
And you bring in a keeper who can bat to
Smith
compensate in a way.
Ooh. We
Anyway,
just demoted him.
Look, let's just leave that part alone. But I mean, you had something to say then, Bumble, about that.
No, his desire would be there. His desire, if I had to give any advice, which I'm not great at that, I'd just say to somebody like Ben Stokes, bat, play cricket, get into it, play for Durham when you've got a bit of time off. You're as a batter. You don't have to bowl, play as a batter. You get into the rhythm of batting. You get one chance, one mistake. We should sit Zach Crawley. He's good at mistakes. Zach Crawley. You get one chance. Get out there in the middle and bat, and it gives you rhythm and stamina and concentration as to what you should be doing. You get into, Graham Thorpe used to say, you get into a bubble when you're batting and nobody else gets in it.
Yeah, it could just be that Ben Stokes is not in his bubble, Jeremy.
The bubble may not be there. That's right.
Bubbleless. Thank you very much, gentlemen. You can go get your lunch now. This is talkSPORT Cricket. We'll be back very soon. The players are just warming up on the field. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes with live action from Lords.